The Knicks continue to make moves even after their monster trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. And according to these reports, with Donte DiVincenzo being dealt in that deal, the pathway is clear for one player to make the roster. And we're talking about Landry Shamet. We're going to break down all of these following reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Landry Shamet is likely making the team after the mega trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. And if you look at the roster, you kind of understand why. Losing Donte DiVincenzo, somebody who's going to be a key piece off of our bench, definitely stings. But when you think about Landry Shamet, his size, his shooting, his veteran presence, he's a very good player to have on this team, especially in the wake of losing DiVincenzo. Let's break down these latest reports from Ian Begley of SNY about Shamet potentially making this team. According to Begley, with the Knicks waiving Marcus Morris Sr. and Chuma Okeke, veteran Landry Shamet is currently well positioned to make the 15-man roster. Obviously, a fluid situation as the details of the Karl-Anthony Towns trade have yet to be finalized. But according to Fred Katz, the Knicks had to open these roster spots so they can pull off sign-in trades in the Towns deal. Waiving Okeke and Morris gives them 2 extra spots to do that. Now they can sign and trade Daquan Jeffries and whomever else to Charlotte. And shout out to Sports Illustrated for giving us this information as well about Landry Shamet and his role on the Knicks. While he isn't going to be a starter, he could play a valuable role off the bench. Shamet can shoot the three-point shot decently, although he did not shoot nearly as well as he's capable of last season. New York will need quality depth. That was an issue for them last season in the playoffs when they suffered injury after injury. The former Washington shooting guard could help with that. At 27 years old, Shamet is looking to latch on with the Knicks. He has a huge opportunity to play a role for a team that is expected to compete for an NBA Finals run. Losing DiVincenzo definitely hurts a lot. It leaves a role on the bench that really nobody can fill. Obviously, I anticipate that Miles McBride will get all of those DiVincenzo minutes. He'll be the one to step up. We saw what he could do last year for the Knicks, especially come the postseason. If he gives you that same style of play during the regular season, and he can take his game to another level come this postseason, McBride is going to be a key piece for this team, no matter what they want to do moving forward, whether they want to keep him on the bench or whether they want to trade him in a package to get another starting center on this team. McBride is going to have value for this team. But headed into next season, his biggest impact is going to be coming off of the bench because he's going to be our main go-to guy coming off the bench. Now, if you're looking at other players that the Knicks have that could potentially pick up the slack after Donte DiVincenzo was just dealt, you can look at Payne and you can look at Tyler Kolek. But if you know anything about head coach Tom Thibodeau, when given the opportunity, when given the chance between rookie and veteran, he's likely always going to go to the veteran. So at this point, with Devo being out, you can look at either Landry Shamet or Payne as one of the players that are going to be playing with Deuce McBride in the backcourt when Brunson is getting a rest. And that makes sense. With Payne, he has experience playing with Mikal Bridges. And likely, Mikal will play the R.J. Barrett role from last year. What do I mean by that? Mikal's likely going to be an early substitution so he can run with the bench in the second unit. And in that second unit, you're likely going to see at times Miles McBride. You're going to see Payne. You're likely going to see Landry Shamet. You're going to see some other pieces as well, too. But you're going to see some starters implemented with the bench unit. The reason I know that is last year, that's exactly what Tom Thibodeau did because that's how he trusts his starters to be utilized with some players on his bench that he really trusts as well, too. So you're going to see a combination of all of that next season. But Shamet, given the way he can shoot, given his size, his veteran experience, and the way he can play in the backcourt, you can understand why he has a pathway to make this team and have consistent playing time on this roster. Now, the details of the Karl-Anthony Towns trade has not been finalized yet. They're still working out all of those details. In my opinion, if you're asking me why it's taking a little bit longer, It's because, number one, the Knicks have to make room to sign these additional players that they're going to be trading to Minnesota, to Charlotte, wherever they're going to go. But I also think they're trying to trade Mitchell Robinson in that process as well, too. Now, I don't know if they're trying to do it in the 3-team trade or they're trying to do it separately, but reports have already come out that the Knicks are open to taking calls on Mitchell Robinson. They want to trade him. They know their championship window is right now. After the Towns trade, they need to maximize this opportunity even further and get another starting center on this team. Now, a lot of people have been killing me in the comments, telling me Towns is the center. Towns is your starting center. I know Towns can play center. I know that he can do that under Tom Thibodeau very well. But I also know that he's a better 4. He'd rather play 4. And if the Knicks want to do that, they need to add another center to this team. That's why you move Mitchell Robinson. Potential centers that the Knicks could get for Robinson, I'm only looking at 2 teams. And these 2 teams specifically because they're likely going to be tanking and they don't care when Robinson comes back. The Charlotte Hornets with Nick Richards and the Detroit Pistons with Isaiah Stewart. I would say Jalen Duren, but the money does not make sense. And if you're the Pistons, even though you have some feelings toward him right now, you don't know your future with him at this point in time, it's still something to note. They understand his value and how many teams around the league covet him and want him on their team. So because of that, they're not going to play it on feelings. They're going to play it on market value. So his cost is going to be significant. The Knicks don't have significant assets to give to Detroit. That's why you have to look at other players like an Isaiah Stewart. And I'm not saying Deuce McBride would be included in that deal because I think that Mitchell Robinson straight up for Isaiah Stewart might work. Maybe you have to include a Jericho Sims or some of these other contracts, but I'm sure the Knicks can get there without having to include Deuce. And if they do that with Detroit, I think it makes sense for the Knicks to get Isaiah Stewart on this team, even though he's the same size as Precious Achiuwa. He is more of a defensive-minded center because that's the position he naturally plays. Achiuwa, even though he can play center, that's not his natural position. That's why I'm okay with them making this deal, especially if it's the only deal on the table. You cannot go into this season with Mitchell Robinson. He is going to be out, ladies and gentlemen, till 2025 in January. And maybe he could be out longer than that. That's just an estimated timetable. What if it's longer than that? What if it's February or March? And then some people might tell me, oh, that's good. We have him for the postseason. Do we? Because even though you bring him along slowly because you want to prevent injury, it doesn't mean it goes away. He could still have something happen to him, a freak injury happen to him. And if that happens, then what did we wait for? Why did we wait all this time just to see that happen? That's why the Knicks know you need to make a move now. He's not going to get healthier magically each and every season after this. And his value is not going to skyrocket each and every season after this. The Knicks are being smart here. You lost Devo, you add Shamet. Good move. You trade Robinson, you need another big that can start on this team right alongside Karl-Anthony Towns. We just saw what Towns can do right next to Rudy Gobert. What do you think he can do next to another defensive-minded center playing under head coach Tom Thibodeau? And his ability to stretch the floor as a 4 on this team is going to be impressive, not only because of his size, but because his pick and pop with Jalen, even as a 4, is going to be lethal. He's going to be double teamed at the top of the key before he shoots that 3. And what does that mean for his teammates? Open looks at the basket, open cutters, and they're going to be able to catch the pass and finish at the rim. Sometimes taking contact and getting that and one. That is what Towns is going to be opening up for you. The only thing that hurts me with Towns is his physicality inside and the way he plays defense there because of all of the injuries he's been dealing with over the course of his career. I'm not saying he's quote-unquote injury prone, but you have to acknowledge the fact he has dealt with a lot of lower leg injuries throughout his career. Getting another center that's defensive-minded, that can take away that weight and that burden off of Towns so he can more or less play his natural game, that's what the Knicks want to do. I'm sure that's what everybody wants. You don't want Towns to be out of pocket, out of position, not playing or doing the things that make him Towns. If he naturally plays the 4 and you know that's where he can shine, then that's why the Knicks are making this move with Robinson in mind. Because when you do this, you give Cat the opportunity to play the role he should be playing and give Tom Thibodeau a center who can play defense exactly the way he wants them to play defense. If you look at the roster, if the Knicks are able to make that move, it's a perfect addition. They just did that, or at least they will do that with Landry Shamet. That's check one. Getting another starting center to pair with Karl-Anthony Towns, that's check two. And Leon Rose and this front office are reportedly doing just that. Reportedly, they are monitoring that Mitchell Robinson situation, taking calls, and they want to move him. And sooner rather than later, I think they're going to get their wish. They're going to move on from Robinson, and hopefully they get a center that we can utilize on this team. But going back to Shamet, he's a veteran. He's 6'5". He can shoot the ball extremely well from three. He's going to be a good addition to this backcourt once it's made official and he's added to this roster. Losing Devo is a huge blow. It stings. Nobody's going to be able to really make up for that. But having somebody like Shamet right after you lose DiVincenzo, that's still a very good backup to have, given the current situation that the Knicks are in. But what about you guys? What do you think about these recent reports indicating that the Knicks are going to be signing Landry Shamet to the final roster? Let me know in the comments section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.